Racing and Jesus with your hosts, Daniel Hillian and Mitch Reynolds.
Yeah, that's right, man. This is episode 55, the Doug Gust episode, some would say. I guess you could say that if you wanted to. But as always, I'm joined with my man, Mitchell the Rocket Reynolds. How we doing tonight, Mitch?
I'm feeling good, Super D. Watching a little Rip It Up films prior to this, getting all pumped up. Our trip to Pine Lake was a stinking blast, and I had fun with our live episode, being at the races, hanging out with people, calling the live. Just a really all-around good trip to Ohio there. I spent a couple extra days so that I could spend some time with JB and Baldwin and my buddy Bobby. I got to go see Mark Winchester. So it's good just to catch back up. Feels like my hometown, 16 hours away.
Yeah, man. I got to go to the White Turkey, and, dude, that was so cool to get to go. And because I've heard you talk about this place before, but it's just the coolest little it's an open-air diner.
Yeah.
You just pull up a chair to and got me a sandwich. We got some milkshakes, and dude, it was a lot of fun. That was a great trip, and we were supposed to fly out together. Well, somehow I messed that up, and we had the same flight pattern, only you went a day ahead of me.
It's true. Exact same flight number and everything, I think. A day, 24 hours ahead.
Right, but got to give a big shout out to Darlene and Bobby for hooking us up, man. That was, I mean, they literally threw the floodgates open. Anything we needed, they were like, hey, whatever you need, let us know. We'll take care of you. So that was very, very nice of them. We got to hang out with their family and all three of their dogs, and it was just really, really awesome for them. So
it was a good time. I mean, they made sure we had new body wash. They had bought us new toothbrush and toothpaste and food. It was like, hey, listen, we've got money. We can go to the grocery store. And oh no, we got you. Darlene's got you taken care of. So Bobby just turned us loose in his truck and said, hey, boys, go have fun. I'll catch up with you later, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he really did, dude, and was just like, whatever you need, I'm here for it. I can get you whatever, or here's the keys to the truck. Take off, do whatever you want. So, man, that was super cool, and it was a lot of fun to get to see the sights of everything that I've heard about for so long. And I've been to Pine Lake before, so it's not like, oh, I don't know where we're going or what we're doing, but I've never got to like hang out. Like,
right, you go to the track.
Go to the track, and then you go home.
That's right.
And it was just so much fun to be able to go and see all the things, man. I was super pumped.
Well, hey, Super D, I know you usually rattle off our sponsors and all that, but I want to welcome on our newest sponsors.
All right, hit me with it.
A great friend of ours, Mr. Eric Ashcraft with Dragon Racing Fuel. You pour it in. Some good stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he always likes to say it's a fire-breathing dragon.
A fire-breathing dragon.
Yeah, that's his go-to thing.
That's some good stuff right there. And then also Close Encounter Whitetail Outfitters. So schedule up your hunts up there in Ohio and go kill some good whitetails. You know,
for sure.
Everybody loves a good hunt.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good hunt?
And
I love a good hunt.
So we love being partnered with two awesome companies, but when that's one of your best friends, I mean, that's just icing on the cake, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'll shout out the rest of them. 88 Live to Ride. We've got the auction coming up this week. This is going to drop on Tuesday. So Friday night about 6:30 will be the silent auction, and follow that up with the live auction. Other cool things coming up at Loretta Lynn's, and that is the last motocross of the year. We're going to be having MotoChurch and baptisms down at the creek. So it's going to be a really cool thing prior to the 88 Live to Ride auction. And Eric Johnson's going to be joining us a little bit to kind of give us an update on MotoChurch and everything going on there. But 88 Live to Ride auction, it's a big thing. There's going to be lots of product there. It's going to be a really, really good time. Our buddy over at RJR, Ryland Johnson Racing, All Terrain Motorsports, 110% nutrition. Use our code REMAIN. Phoenix Handlebars, use our code RITR15. SofaBrandMX.com. Get your Sofa Brand gear and use code RTRP. Also, don't forget our guy PH3 Photo and Video, Josh Klein over there, hooking us up with the YouTube live video of our live audience podcast in episode 454. If you missed that one, you need to go back and listen to it. It was a ride. It was a good time. Also, Kaiser Will. and Canebrake Racing, and I put Canebrake Racing's cause for concern. We're still
working on it.
We're still working on it, but those.
It's coming. It's coming.
Absolutely. So really thankful for all these guys partnering with us. It's pretty cool that most all of these guys we have a really, really close relationship with, and they're willing to jump on board and keep this thing going. So you listeners out there can enjoy this right along the jump as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, flashback to Pine Lake, we were able to do we recorded from a live audience, and so that's what, as we're getting going here, I've kind of been messing with a little bit of our stuff because we were having some microphone issues and stuff, but we got it worked out, man. It ended up working out just fine, and so I'm turning the dials over here, but we're gonna make it happen for sure. But man. So cool. Again, thanks to Mark Baldwin. Thanks to Eric Ashcraft for coming on and being part of what we're doing. It was so cool for them guys just to sit down and to have some fans out there in front of us and give us a heckle here or there. That was really a lot of fun. Had the doors open on the building. Nice, cool breeze blowing through. At one point, I was like, ooh, I need to find me a hoodie.
This is awesome.
Yeah. But that's
and shout out to the Geis family for having us a 90 ready to go for the team race. We did a little pivot there and went on Kiefer Moore's machine, because it might have had a little extra juice or something. I'm not sure. I was just going along with what I was told. But anyway, shout out to the Geis, man. They were there. They enjoyed us. They had a good time with us the whole time, and they had the machine up there ready to go for us. So appreciate you guys for really looking out for the RITR crew. And, we're big Rider Geis fans for sure.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
So, Super D, I want to do kind of a new thing. Usually we go a little bit more in depth, but I want you to just give me your rapid thoughts. Give me your 3, 4, 5 things that really just jumped out to you at Pine Lake.
Okay.
What's on the top of your mind?
First and foremost, off the top of my mind, was love everything about it. I mean, we've said that so many times. Love what's going on.
Life
there.
Makes sense again.
Absolutely.
That was your quote.
Absolutely. But one of the things was, and I don't know if it's just because the first turn, but man, we had several pileups, and I'm kind of starting with the bad, and we'll move to the good. But it's just one of those things. Hey, TT racers, man, and Mark said we can call it TT, and if Mark says it, that's what we're calling it. Okay.
Tourist trophy.
Hey, yeah. Who knew? He did. But hey, we can't be bumping and banging going into that first corner. You took me to the airport and you were like, man, I hope I can make it back in time for the pros. And they were like 5 races away from when we left. And when we got back, there was still a race before the pro class because they had one pretty serious accident, Thomas McCoy. And I think he's back home and doing well, going to be a little bit of a road to recovery. But man, we got to be a little careful going into that first corner, But so that was kind of the bad. The thing that was exciting was, dude, that Joker lane was such a pivotal part of the race, and it made a huge difference, because we're a big fan of CJ. I think CJ's a fan of us. At least I think he is. I talked to him. He's super nice. But when we told him, we're like, yeah, we're riding Cole Moore's bike, he's like, oh, I'm off the podium then.
Actually, we rode Kiefer's.
Kiefer Moore's, yeah.
But yeah, it was like that automatic. We're like, okay, we made the right choice then.
Yeah. He was like, oh, man. But
had Damien not sent it in the first corner, they actually were ahead of us, running 10th there. Had Damien not tried to just, I don't know, get a tattoo from the front tire, they might have beat us.
Yeah, that's a good point too. But that Joker lane was such a big factor because I don't think CJ got a whole shot. I don't think he got one whole shot. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't recall him getting a whole shot. I mean, he was always up there towards the front, but man, he is on fire.
Yeah, he was absolutely cooking, and that's what I kept trying to pay attention to. Be like, okay, did he get a whole shot? I mean, he won his heats and he won every race he was in except for the one that we were in.
That is right.
Yeah, no perfect season now, buddy. But man, and a lot of it came down to, one, CJ's just an incredible rider. His racecraft is super through the roof. But the Joker lane was a big part of it. And another guy that stood out to me, and I had to go do some investigating, was the 46 machine of Tyler King. Because I was like, because he's been on a TRX. He was him and Cole Moore were the diehard TRX guys, that were more towards the front. There's a few other guys mixed in there. But my man Kevin Allen from ATM, he was like, yeah, man, look at our boy ripping a hole shot. Because I'm pretty sure Tyler got one or two, whether it was the heat or whatever. And he's like, man, that TRX looked good. And I didn't answer him because I'm like,
maybe some different letters there.
And so I got to meet Brian Robertson and was visiting with him. And, of course, I always ask questions, but I'll always follow it up with, hey, if you can't answer that, that's fine. Like, I understand, racers like to keep things close to the vest. No problem. I totally understand. I said, but did we do a power plant switch in the 46 machine? And he laughed. He said, yeah, we finally got it put together, and man, he is loving it. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like he's loving it.
With a bunch of hole shots and really challenging CJ.
Mm-hmm.
He did challenge CJ, so he was definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's another thing that stood out to me. Man, my guy Garrett got a 4th place in pro and in spec tire class, had a header pipe fall off. That's kind of something that's we've seen it happen before, but really hated that for Garrett because he was coming on strong. Jace had a good weekend, ended up blowing a tire off the bead, which is happened last year. It happened to a few guys, but I really hated that for Garrett. The episode before, I was like, man, I just got a good feeling about Garrett. And he said, man, I'm feeling good. I'm not nervous. He said, we've put in the work. We're ready to go. And so it was good to see him bounce back from not finishing the 1 to getting a 4th. I know he wanted to do better, but I was pretty pumped for him. So those were kind of the big highlight takeaways from me. I may think of another one as it comes to me here, but what for you, Mitch? What stood out to you, man?
State the obvious. The first thing, CJ Robson is a man on fire. He is flying.
Absolutely.
But Tyler King really showed some juice there, and so I'm really excited going forward as they continue to develop and change some things, what Tyler King does there.
Yeah.
But the Brichettes, man, this family are just, they're just blowing my socks off. On the JB mod, but Evie Brichette, she is an 8-year-old girl, and it was just one of those kind of like you had with Kinley of just, my gosh, look at this.
Yeah.
Definitely a Kinley fan. I'm not taking from that.
Absolutely.
But it was one of those that just jumped out to me all weekend. Her just jumping out there, ripping hole shots, and just flying was awesome. And then it was really good. The women's class was really competitive, like it's been for a while, but to see Bailey Thomas up there.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jess Ryckman, who we're going to have on in just a little bit, really has that hard charger award. And man, that women's race was phenomenal. There was racing good from top to bottom. I wish we didn't have quite as many wrecks. That is for sure. That was kind of a bummer because there was good racing going on all weekend. But you're like, man, come on, like. I don't like seeing this ambulance come out here so often.
Right, I'm with you there.
So it's like just kind of brainstorming in my mind what could be done different to maybe lessen that, because at Dresden that wasn't really as big of an issue. We had one accident that was concerning,
right,
but both those riders were okay. So you just hate to see that. It's a risk within our sport, but you hate to see that actually come to fruition and people laying out on the track. That was not cool. But great turnout. 615 riders, if I remember correctly, but had a great time.
It was. There was a lot going on, that's for sure. Hey, how about our man Joey Mickley? I got to.
That was one of mine, and I just slipped my mind, dude.
Yeah.
Joey with some hole shots and stacking up the wins was really awesome. And then the fact that he let Kiefer race his machine as well, not just ride it, not like we do, take 4 or 5 laps, but actually went out there and raced that thing all weekend. So. Man, Joey was just having a weekend. He was riding good. Really cool when you see one racer or one family take care of another racer, another family. We love those stories.
Absolutely,
just kind of a picture of what our sport's all about. But definitely can't go past that without thinking about Joey Mickley. That was our teammate as well. Him and Kiefer, they did what they could do for us, and you and I did the work. So that was what it is to get on the podium.
So he got first in college boy.
First in Pro Light.
First in Pro Light. And
first in Open A.
This says second in Open
Second.
A.
Okay.
But still, I remember.
I had him winning all 3. Hole shotting and winning all 3.
He definitely won his heat. I do remember that. But anyway.
What a weekend.
Yeah. A 1 and 2 all weekend long. Hey, I would have taken that. That sounds awesome.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
He jumped on our team with us. Hey, how about, I'm circling back here to the team race, but me and you had a plan. We said, okay, we're going to put the current racers, they're going to be the bookends of this team. 4 riders. We'll start with Cole. Or Kiefer. Start with Kiefer.
No. Okay. You want me to do it?
Okay.
So
no, Kiefer was going to end it.
That's right. Joey.
We're
like, okay, Joey's quick.
Yeah.
He's spry. He doesn't mind to bang bars. We'll send him first. Get us out there a good lead. You'll jump on second. Maintain that. Go have a good time.
Yep.
I'll get on third. I'll maintain it. Have a good time. Kiefer, he'll go last. It's his machine, and he can do what he needs to do. If he needs to take some people out, it's his machine. He can figure out. I mean, this was really the strategy. And Kiefer made sure and told us like multiple times, hey, this thing doesn't have front brakes. Hey, remember this thing doesn't have front brakes. Oh, yeah, cool. We got it. So we take off, and Mickley here, I don't even know what happens, but the machine doesn't fire. And I can see him like rocking it back and forth, and then he gets going, and he comes around in 10th. Like, oh, man, like we've got work to do. There are 30 teams, mind you, so there's 150 people lined up out here in all the mayhem for sure.
Right.
I mean, it's the best time ever. Whoever came up with this idea, Sean, if that was you, a great idea. Also a great idea was adding the little chicane instead of letting people run in there and just take people out, because that was a different factor. So you had to come into this chicane and slow the machine down to actually switch out your rider. Correct?
And we did a little strategy there, and it worked out for us.
We definitely had a strategy right there. So we're like, okay, we're 10th. We've really got to implement this transition really well. Like, we got to pass the baton well. Super D jumps on, and I think like immediately passes one or two people in the transition from 10th and goes around. He makes his laps. He's coming in about 2 turns left. I'm like, oh, he's up to 6th. All right, okay, we got a chance. So again, really good transition, and I think we get one person right there. So puts us somewhere around the 5th place mark, 5th or 6th at this point. And I'm on it, but I'm just charging as hard as I can. Somebody goes down hard. I later figure out that's Damian King. I was like, man, somebody just ate it. And I went to grab that front brake. That wasn't a front brake.
Wasn't there.
I had plenty of time, but I did panic for a second, like, oh my goodness.
Right.
And then I thought, well, I should have taken some practice laps, because I'm like not even figuring out how to ride this thing fast. In the second lap, I was like, oh, now I'm figuring out how to ride it. So I'm just catching people pretty fast. And I go over the jumps, and I go over the second jump, and there's 2 lappers there and like 3 riders. And I just dive through the middle of them, just weave. And so when I come in, I'm in 3rd. And Kiefer was like, just looking at me, dude, you're in 3rd. How did you just do that? And while we're transitioning, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure. It was just like, I think lappers kind of got in the way and worked out. And Kiefer actually caught the leaders there at the end. So I think Cole was saying that he looked back because they had quite the lead. It was Jesse McCullum's team and the EDT Racing Channel, and it was those 2 battling. Right. And he said, I look back, and there's my brother. I'm like, where did he come from? It was all in the transition, baby. We had that transition figured out.
Well, everybody, when
wait,
Joey...
Are you going to tell our secret here? Is that where you're going?
Well, no, we'll hold on to that.
I mean, we're coming for the win next year.
Okay. I'll keep that to myself then. But we had a little strategy, and other than it not starting, we would have run away with that one. So we'll catch them next time, though. But, man, another thing that every class, I think there was, hang on here. I just pulled it up. Every class except for 5, and I think there was 36 races, and then each race would have so many heats. But out of the 36 classes on Saturday, all of them had 2 or more heats except for 5. So you had 31 classes that had 2 heats. There was, I think, several that had 3 heats, and there were 4 classes that had 4 heats. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Which, Pine Lake is it's the Super Bowl. It's the big deal. It's the Super Bowl in the middle of the year. But man, there were so many things to watch. And of course, one of my favorites is Super Mini and All-Star, and watching those guys. And I had wrote it down here because it was the top 5 was kind of different. So in the All-Star, you had Burchett, Creech, Turner, Everly, and Moore were our top 5. And then in the Super Mini, which same guys ride both classes. This is the 2 classes they can ride. Okay. It was Martin, Dahl, Burchett, Beasley, Turner. So of the 2 top 5s, the only ones, so Burchett got a 1st and a 3rd, and Turner got a 3rd and a 5th. And then the other guys were all mixed up in there.
Wow.
And I mean, it was just
the state of the competition right there. Like, we love it, the number, but the competition's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Another fun class that we like to watch because it's got a lot of the young guys and gals that, I don't know, we're big fans of, was the 200, 400 class and then the junior 12 to 15.
Yeah.
So Trevin White wins both of those with Wes
Trevin
Stanley.
was on fire.
And then Dylan Jones. Dylan Jones took a tumble in the heat race, but ended up pulling it back together. And then Wes Stanley got second in both of those. And then Ryan Kisner got third in one, and then Dylan Jones got third in the other one. So, I mean, it's just
The
it's
future is bright.
Yeah, for sure. And in the next year, we could see in the. Do you hear that rattling noise?
Yeah. It sounds like something interesting's coming.
Sorry, we're recording here, and my kids are in the building somewhere. That maybe. Oh, here comes one right now. Sorry, we got Sleeping Beauty with us. But anyways,
That's fitting. It is the popping thing that you push. That's exactly what it sounded like, but it made me turn in a hurry. So
yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
Super D, let's introduce our guest that we're going to have on tonight. We're going to have Jess Ryckman from the women's class. We're going to have Sam Imburgia, a pro EDT racer, and then we will follow that up with Eric Johnson to give us an update on MotoChurch and all things ATVMX and the baptisms coming up.
Oh,
So
yeah, man, it's going to be good.
It's going to be some good interviews coming up, so let's get to it.
All right, well, let's catch a break real quick, and we'll be right back. Y'all stay with us.
We are joined by Jess Ryckman, the number 724 in the women's class in Open A. What's up, Jess?
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, Jess, introduce the listeners to yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, as I like to introduce myself to most people, my LinkedIn bio says I'm the coolest accountant you'll ever meet. I've been racing since I was 6 years old, so this is my 20th season.
Wow.
I got started through my brother. My brother raced; he went pro. My dad used to race cars, so it's kind of just in our blood. I've been doing it ever since, and racing's become the lifeblood of what I do. My family, my friends, everything.
You were sharing with us before we actually jumped on recording and said, you're getting married next year and that a lot of the people invited race, so it'd make sure that Sean doesn't schedule a race on that weekend. So that kind of says something about your involvement in the community of ATV racing right there.
Yeah, I tell my friends back home that I know more people out of state than I do in state. Definitely more of my friends come from the racing community than, Buffalo, New York. So it's awesome.
So up in Buffalo, what do you enjoy doing? Like, what does Jess do away from the racetrack?
Anything active, anything outside. I played soccer my whole life. I played soccer in college. We were in a kickball league. We do softball sometimes. I go on hikes with my dog. When winter comes, we try to be outside, but it's really cold. So I kind of just chill inside and rewatch races and stay active that way.
That's one thing I didn't realize, Jess, was y'all kind of there's a lot of really good racers from New York. Like this, I was looking at the this last weekend, wasn't last weekend, a couple weekends ago at Pine Lake. Eric asked the staff there, be like, hey, can you print me off each rider, like the full printout, and it'll tell us where you're from, your sponsors, the type of machine you're riding, instead of just like who's in what heat, like you guys see posted down there. And I'm just scrolling through all these races, and I'm like, there is a lot of racers from the East Coast, like the north part, up around your neck of the woods. So growing up there, like, was there a go-to local track for you guys, or did y'all all have to travel? Like, why is there such a good group of New Yorkers? Yeah, not New Yorkers. That's weird. But yeah, where'd you race
I like
at?
it.
Yeah.
We had not too many local tracks. Our local track was Batavia Motor Speedway. There was a couple nationals there back in the day. That's when my family really got involved. We were helping run those nationals. Geneva Paradise Speedway, we would race there. But I actually got started in motocross. There's definitely a lot more motocross tracks around here than short track, flat track, anything like that. So I give us northern riders a lot of credit. No offense to my southern friends, but we can only race 4 months out of the year. So a lot of the time, the first race of the season is the first time we're touching our quad since the last race last season.
Right.
So if we look like hooligans out there in North Carolina the first race of the year, that's why.
It's
Yeah.
because you're still knocking the rust off.
Yeah, there's a reason for
you're
that.
exactly right too. So being Southern guys, I would even go more south of here, go to Texas and train, and you would try to get a jump early season, especially in the MX world. Be like, we know that it'll be mid-season before they really come into the race form. So you want to jump out at those first few races and really perform well, so you could hopefully build a little bit of points gap, because you knew all of the people from Ohio, PA, New York would start really coming to their form about mid-season as far as being in shape and all of those things. So, yeah, kudos to you guys for only being able to ride 4 months of the year, and we get to ride, 10. So,
Yeah, pretty much year round. I mean, sometimes you're in hoodies and pretty warm gloves, but other than that, we can pretty much ride
absolutely.
year round. And we're a lot
Yeah,
closer to Texas than New York if we want to go where it's warm.
That's right.
I think my snowsuit would melt if I tried to ride my four-wheeler in the winter. It'd catch on fire out there.
Yeah, we don't want any of that. So speaking of that, Jess, what do you do to cross train? Or you do a little MX, or do we just specifically ride TT? What do you do to cross train?
This year's been a little tough. I live 2 hours away from my quad now and my family, so I haven't been able to cross train as much. But I like to go to the local dirt bike track, and they have a practice track for quads in the back that I switched my TT quad over, put some MX tires on, put some front fenders on, and went out there. And people were asking me, "What is your quad set up for?" And I'm like, "Don't ask. It's not meant for this, but I need something." So.
I've got to get some laps in. I got a moto, and so Jess, definitely a fan of that. It's always an ongoing thing between Daniel and I, whether you should ride MX or cross country. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a mark. Jess is in my boat. Okay, Yep, she's in the motocross boat.
Yeah, I guess there is a lot of motocross tracks up around that way, but you're not far for some pretty quality woods racing too. So,
but
I'm
too
just
bad-
saying,
too bad MX
woods
is
racing
better.
is where it's at.
But before we chase this rabbit,
Sure.
Jess, tell us really what your big motivation is of being, ATV racing or being part of the ATV racing community. What's your big motivation there?
I just want to inspire the next generation of girls coming up. Honestly, I looked up to Paula when I was first starting out, and she's my best friend now. So I want to be that mentor, that soon-to-be best friend for the next girls coming through. There's some really fast girls making their way up through the pack, and it's always fun when we see new faces in the women's class. That next generation is what has made this class 2 rows strong this whole season. So
That's for
Yeah,
sure. And she was a motocrosser too, so there's that as well.
Yeah.
Paula was a motocrosser.
Yeah, so just don't forget it, Super D. My
I hear
argument's
ya.
growing by the minute, and I don't even
Okay.
really have to argue it. So there's that.
Okay.
But Jess, I love it. Your motivation is the future generation and what's ahead of us in this sport. Definitely Super D and I have that same motivation as well, being able to bring exposure to all different levels of racers. But we have a special place in our heart for these young girls that are up and coming in this youth class. I mean, there are some phenomenal riders, and we hope that they stick with it, because they're going to be saying the same. They're going to be saying, hey, we were looking up to Jess. We were looking up to Mel. And, you girls, you ladies are ultimately going to be those girls' mentors going forward. So it's awesome to just see really the state of the sport from top to bottom at this point, but just how many ladies are involved and really committed to it, and kind of that special bond that y'all have and that motivation to just raise up, mentor or nurture future generations. Too cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Women are kind of the lifeblood of all the kids at the track too. They wouldn't be there without their moms. So,
Right.
I give a shout out to half the girls I race with that are chasing their kids around. When they get off the track, they don't get a break like I do.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see. And we all started at 50s just like they did. So we've been through it, and the super mini class is no joke. I've been there, done that. And I know a
kidding.
lot of the shifter riders hate the CVTs in the super mini class. They're like, they don't have to shift, but I was there too.
Right.
That just made me a better rider, made me shift faster.
Right.
And
Well-
I can't thank them enough for that.
Well, Jess, I just jumped over here to the, from Pine Lake, that junior 12 to 15 class. there's Aubrey Walker, there's Tessa Martin, there's Lindsay Beck, there's Cameron Ice. And I'm like, well, there's 4 top quality ladies. And then you jump down to even lower than that. Well, then like our youth classes. And then I jump over here to the 90cc class. I'm the biggest fan ever of Kinley Reed, who is crushing it, by the way. And then we got to meet Evie Burchett. And so there's tons of these young, and there's more out there. These are just the ones I'm remembering. There's tons of young ladies that you can really, be a positive influence for. And I think that goes, whether you're a guy or a girl, to set a good example and, show these young racers that, hey, yeah, you need to compete, but at the end of the day, you need to have some friends too, So I would say you're doing a great job. And if you've got Paula on your side, you're going to be just fine.
Absolutely.
I still remember back in, I think it was 2013, we were at the banquet and I was so afraid to go up and like congratulate her on her season. And I was so shy.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we spend half the weekend at each other's campers, we text
Right.
each other all the time. It's just like my idol has become my best friend. It's the coolest feeling in the world. So if I could return that favor one day, I would love that,
Isn't that awesome that in this sport that can be the case?
Yeah.
Like all of us can probably repeat that same sort of story where you look up to your idol. Okay, I mean, like we were on a podcast with Mark Baldwin last week.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's the top of our sport, but yet he's a great friend and a humble guy. That's just kind of a picture of the ATV racing community.
Yep.
Like a bunch of motivated people that some have great success or lucky to have great success, and people we look up to them and idolize them a little bit. But when we approach them, we're like, oh, they're just human like you and I, and they welcome us in and just want to be best friends. So it's cool, Jess, that you can kind of continue that as well. Tell me to this point, what's one of your greatest memories at the races, whether that was a specific race or something that happened off the racetrack? What are some of your best memories to this point of ATV racing?
I always go back to Pine Lake. Pine Lake was my first national I ever raced at, back when the bowl was a thing and it used to downpour every single time. And I mean, our generator's been underwater at one point. But I remember we were using the bowl as a slip and slide. And we slid down. We had bathing suits because the lake was there. So we were covered in clay. I don't think outdoor showers were a thing on campers back then. So my mom was like, no, go and jump in the lake before you come back here.
Yep.
But me, all my friends, and just swimming on the track and the golf cart wheelie races they used to have back there. Just trying to make the best out of the rain delays, I think, are some of the best memories because, yes, you're there to compete with everybody and, yes, you're there to ride, but you're also there to make friends, to make family. Some of the best times just happen off the track. So definitely Pine Lake has my heart. I have such a bittersweet relationship with that track.
Well, you should have a good one with it now after the performance that you had there at the 55th, getting our hard charger award. You were crushing it. I mean, you were making passes right and left and ended up on the podium. So that was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I was screaming coming off the track. I was ecstatic. I worked my butt off to get up there after the restart. My prayers go out to Kristen who wrecked, but I had a hard battle with Tori and Beth. And if I had another few laps, I would have been battling up there with Bailey too. But I think we both, had a hard time getting around Beth. She always has the best hole shots. So it was a killer race. I said one day I'll make it easy for myself and not have to pass people. But until then, I'll make the best out of it.
Yeah,
make my way up the pack.
It sounds easy, right? Just get a start. And it's like, well, I'm lining up against some people that are pretty good at doing this thing also, so it's a lot tougher than it sounds, that's for sure. But I can remember, we were up there with Eric calling a lot of the races on the live stream, and I'm like, and Jess Ryckman in 4, and I'm like, and I looked at Mitch and I was like, it's Jess Ryckman, she's moving out, and I was excited too, and for it, I don't know, I don't have any enemies at the track. Whoever's on the podium, I'm pumped for all of them, and so we were definitely excited for you for sure.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that whole shot definitely instills some fear in me. I've hit the guardrail before back in 2019 in A class. I slid so fast when I wrecked that my spandex and my pants and my jersey melted together because I thought if I flatten out, I'll make it under the guardrail. The guardrail's 3 inches off the ground, so that wasn't going to happen. But the things you think of when you're flying through the air, you know.
The fact that you can remember that is incredible to me, because I've also hit that guardrail, but
And you don't remember it.
nothing of it other than seeing some video of me backwards at one point, and it's like, nah, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, no, I definitely got lucky. You know, there's been some really gnarly wrecks into that corner, and I know the track workers are trying their best to come up with a solution. But I think anything's better than flying into the woods. But
True.
they're getting there. They're trying. I think we just keep getting faster, and the people keep getting less fearful. So it's bound to happen.
Hey,
but
it's funny you mentioned that,
agree.
Jess, because at the beginning, Mitch goes, "Hey, what were your big takeaways?" And I said, "Well, almost the first thing is, I don't know what it is about Pine Lake, but that first corner, for whatever reason, everybody, like, you can't touch, like, you can't beat and bang like you can at your local track. Like, the speeds are too high, it's too grippy right there, grippy, tractiony, and if you touch tires, like, it's going to end bad for everyone." And so
yeah, I think
what's
lot
your
of the
solution?
wrecks-
Yeah.
I think it happens because people are going so fast in the corner, and then they spike the brakes and they get sideways. And then it's the person behind you when you're sideways that taps you and sends you for a ride. So everybody just keep it straight. Don't, don't
Maybe
punch
we
the brakes.
maybe we need to bank it down there. Maybe we need to make that corner
yeah.
banked to kind of hold people in a little bit more, give you
That
a
way,
little
when
more
you
room.
crash, it's like a ramp into the trees.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work either. No,
All right, but
right,
we need a foam pit behind against the guardrail.
yeah, see, this is what we do with things. We go from
Right.
practical to impractical. You know, you can't.
I'm sorry.
How can you take these guys serious? I mean, come on, Jess.
No, they've tried cutting the guardrail open and having hay bales in there, and that still wasn't very great. So it's just tough. I don't think there's a real good solution around it. It's just everybody's got to ride safer.
Absolutely.
As easy as that is for me to say.
Yeah, do
quit,
better.
Quit pinching it don't pitch it so hard going into turn one there. Maybe that is a solution. Penalize people for kicking it sideways or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something.
Man, my man Trevin White, he wouldn't make it. Like, he pitches it at like the flag stand.
Yeah, him and Anthony Dorick.
Anthony
wow,
Dorick.
they
Dude,
just sideways. But I call that the newer generation of racing, man. That pitching sideways, that wasn't a thing as much back when I was more at the top of my game, if you want to call it that. So
Maybe you care for your life more than they do.
I do now.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Jess, we've been chasing rabbits. Super D and I, that happens. You have to just get us back on track here.
I'm along for the ride. It's all right.
All right, you just hang on, because it's going to be a bumpy one, that's for sure, with this crew. Well, who are those people that are your closest to in the racing community, Jess? Like, who are those best friends? You've already mentioned Paula, but who are your tightest people at the races?
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to my team Sparkles. It is the Schaefer family. Our team was named by Cameron when I think she was like 8 years old.
Love it.
Yep. So we're Team Sparkles. So it's the Schaefer family. Matt's also my motor builder, along with one of our closest friends. His daughter is going to be in my wedding, and she's 11 years old. We've been friends for that long.
Wow.
They are my ride or dies, along with the Crawfords. Kevin Crawford, he is our goofball of the group. He always gives me tips and tricks of the track, and I always say, okay, thank you. And I kind of go out there, do my own thing. But it's always nice to hear his point of view, because I always take that into consideration. And then, of course, the Imburgia family. They are also from New York. They started racing when my brother started racing back in motocross. So we've been racing with them. The whole family races since, for the past 20 years. So I think our close-knit crew has been around for more than half of my racing career, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. They would, take their backbone out for somebody if they asked. They are the best people, the most supportive people, and I wouldn't be where I am without them.
That is too awesome. So you get to travel many times a year, meet up at races, hang out with your best friends, people that would give you their backbone or shirt off their back. Um, just an awesome community, Super D.
I'm here for it. I love it.
I mean, we say it over and over again, but every time we hear another one of these stories, you know, in a different version, I'm like, dude, this is ATV racing. Make ATV racing great. Is that what our buddy Eric said? He said
something like that.
He must have taken that from.
Yeah.
Anyway, he wants to make ATV racing great, and I think it is in a great state. And if we see that how that Motocross Legends race went, that everything in ATV racing is great, including those great memories that you make off the track as you're hanging out with your best friends from really most all over the U.S., all these different states and everything like that. Well, Jess, how about your sponsors or anybody that you would like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I definitely have to thank my parents the most. I have spent countless hours in vehicles traveling across the country with them, and they truly are my best friends. I missed out on a lot when I was growing up with my friends back home, but I would not trade that for the world to spend that time with my family. So I cannot thank them enough for hauling me around the country and funding my racing career for the first, half until I became an adult, but they're still right there being my biggest fans. And my fiance, of course, joining on Noah, joining on our racing train. He had no idea what it was when I first started, and I think I broke him in really quick, and he's fallen in love with the sport just the same. And then, yeah, my sponsors, of course, Matt Schaefer and his family, 110% Nutrition, FXR, Scott Goggles, ODI, Liette, Rage ATV. Also, Heather Labello has been my hype girl this season. She takes the best photos. Dirt Decals hooked us up with some killer graphics this year. My gear matches my graphics. I always say, if you look good, you're going to ride good.
I love it.
So,
Yep.
can't thank them enough for those. And yeah, once again, just my family and Team Sparkles. I can't thank everybody enough.
Well, hey, Jess, you mentioned just the close connection you have with mom and dad and these great memories that y'all have established throughout the years. What is it really like if you can, if you're looking at the younger generation and you're telling them, because so often, and I ask this question because I am a father, and oftentimes your 12-year-old's like, oh, Dad, like they, at times, they want anything but to be hanging out with you. But what would your recommendation be to the future generation of how they can just embrace those moments and enjoy the time they get to spend with their parents?
I would say that my parents are probably the funniest people I have ever met, and I did not realize that until I became an adult myself. My parents always used to embarrass the heck out of me on these road trips, making me take pictures in front of the I-80 truck stop sign and do all these crazy things on our road trips. But I would just say cherish those memories. Your parents are the ones that support you and allow you to do this. And sometimes they get on your nerves. Sometimes they're your hardest critic, but it only makes you a better person. It only makes you a better rider. And take all that to heart. Listen to what they're saying because they've been through it and they're probably right, as much as you don't want to hear that. But yeah, just embrace your parents and cherish them. I can't thank mine enough. I try to embarrass them more than they embarrassed me the first 26 years of my life. So just strive towards giving it back to them one day,
Yes, I love it. Well, what great words of advice from a great lady in the racing world. Jess, we are so thankful that you got on and you joined us and gave those great, it was great stories, but those great words of advice, man, I love it. I love it, Super D.
Yeah, same. And that's one of the things I always say that it's Sunday night, we're recording, but yesterday, me, my dad, and my little guy, Cooper, we all went to our local cross-country race, and we got to drive up Friday night, camp, race Saturday, come home, and I'm like, man, Cooper's going to, for years, he's going to, I've been doing it with Dad, kind of like you, for 25 years, we've been doing this. But for him now to be able to be part of it and understand what's going on, man, it's super special. So, yep, I echo everything you said, Jess, for sure.
Yeah, and I'd kind of like to make an announcement if I can. I know you all say you report on the news, you don't announce the news, but
Yeah, if you announce it, then you announced it. We don't break news, we cover it. So you break it, we'll cover it.
special announcement. Yeah, I think 20 years of racing, I'm moving on to the next stage of my life. This will probably be my last season chasing championships. So at the last Pine Lake this year, I'd like to give out some Ryckman Racing shirts for the next generation. So any youth rider that wants to kind of meet me, talk to me, chat with me, get some words of encouragement and some good lucks when they go out on the track. I'll be making a post on my racing page to come visit us in our normal parking spot. And I'll give out some Ryckman Racing swag. And yeah.
Well, all right. Well, you heard it here first. Breaking news. Yeah. Well, man, that's 20 years. That's a long time to be in it for sure. But I reckon we'll still see you around from time to time. Probably, maybe, yeah, definitely, sort of, maybe, definitely, maybe.
Definitely, maybe. There might be a new name on the list next year, so keep your eyes peeled. But
okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Well, hey, man. Anything else, Mitch, you got for?
I think that's it. Jess, what a killer job, and I love the great words of advice. I love it. I'm here for it, and I appreciate you for your time, Jess.
Thank you for all you do. I don't think us racers get to watch the live feed like football players do, but I definitely take it to heart, rewatch my races, and learn from them. So thank you all for commentating and live feeding. I love it. Keep it coming.
All right. Hey, we're here for it. It's always a good time. But, well, Jess Ryckman, the 724, thanks for jumping on with us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, y'all stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Want to welcome in Mr. Sam Imburgia, the number 55 ATV TT Pro, who also does a little bit of motocross racing. Sam, what's up, man?
Hey, fellas, honored to be here. Thank you very much.
So, Sam, you come from a family of racers. Mom races, dad races, you race. Has that been a lifelong thing?
Yes, sir. It's always been a family sport for us. We got, I think my parents started racing in 2000, and from then on, it's always been a family thing. When mom and dad aren't there, it's definitely a different environment for me, and it's definitely not the same weekend without them. So it's always been a family sport for us.
So does that happen very often where mom and dad aren't at the races?
Probably 5-6 races a year. Motocross races, whatever. With the Dresden this year, they had another thing going on, and went to Dresden without them. A couple handful of motocross races, but not often. They try to make all of them. They love it just as much as I do, so they don't like to miss any.
I like it.
So,
well, Sam, just kind of introduce the listeners to to Sam. Tell us about yourself, man.
Well, I'm Sam. I'm 28. Been racing for 22 years now. Got started, I think, back in 2002. I had a Eton Viper 90.
Eton, yes, sir.
Yeah, those things were awesome. I had the red light that went side to side on the front of it, and it took two of them to make one run, and went from that to a Blaster, then to a 300EX, and yeah, man, just been racing a long time. Grew up racing motocross and flat track and cross countries and you name it. We always we never really stuck to a series or anything like that. We never chased points or nothing. We always just kind of pick and choose what we wanted to do every weekend. Whether it was, racing motocross, racing GNCC, racing, just local TT. Back in the day when we first started racing, we had a bunch of flat track facilities around us, and it's actually how we've met a lot of you guys, met a lot of our friends to this day. So
So just clarification, just for terms of us, we throw EDT and flat track and TT around. When you say flat track, are you saying circle track, or when we say flat track, are we more the TT EDT world, or both?
More a TT EDT world. That's
Cool.
all just the TT EDT world there.
So you've dabbled
we never
in.
really did oval.
You've dabbled kind of in all forms of ATV racing. What would you say in cross training? What's your favorite of motocross, cross country, TT?
Man, it all depends on the weekend. I'll have a bad weekend racing TT. I'm like, dang, this sucks, and let's get back to racing motocross. And as far as general go fast speed. God, I'd say if you wanna get real fast and 4-wheeler racing and stuff like that, you get into motocross racing, man. That teaches you aggression. It teaches you how to race a bike aggressively, and it gives you endurance and confidence in the bike. When you come into a corner at a Pine Lake, and there's a couple holes in the corner, this and that, you don't even think about it.
Yeah,
you just keep racing, keep running, and nothing really bothers you. When you're going as fast as you are in motocross, you're not going as fast obviously as you would in TT, but you're still hauling the mail.
That's
running
right.
over ruts that would swallow your 4-wheeler up. You know all about it.
Yeah, your chassis is constantly disrupted in the motocross world. So that was our philosophy as well, why we always train motocross, because it's like, if you can go fast when your chassis is just constantly upset and disrupted and you're getting beaten around, and obviously the conditioning aspect, then when you get on a TT track, you'll really know how to enter a corner. And same way, you learn how to use those edges or even those holes as almost like a berm, like, oh, I'm going to use that edge right there to kind of accelerate out of the corner. So there are definitely benefits of all forms of racing. Daniel and I both are big proponents on ride something other than just TT.
Mm-hmm.
We have this argument back and forth. I mean, we respect each other in it. I'm always like, oh, motocross, and he's all like, cross country, you motocrossers are insane.
Yep, get in the woods.
But either way,
man.
Point being, when you're on a machine and going fast in different capacities, and the machines are disrupted, when you get on a TT track, you're like, oh wow, now I can go fast. Now I can really charge this thing. So Sam,
sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's all good. I was just gonna say, like, we had talked with Jen, and you guys y'all ride about 4 months a year or so. Like, you're a little bit at a disadvantage there as far as the guys down south who get to ride 10 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you feel as well? Do you ever travel and train in the off season a little bit?
We try to. It's tough, to train in the off season for us, you got to drive 12 hours. But luckily for us up here in New York, the guys we race motocross with and the level of competition that's up here is just it's unreal. I could go to any local motocross race any given weekend, and there'll be 2 to 3 guys that'll run top 10 pro sport guys at the nationals. So the level of competition up here is really what kind of keeps me humble and keeps me definitely pushing harder.
Absolutely.
And it kind of just keeps me up to speed with them Southern boys.
Yeah, and I mean, that is a true advantage there when you're racing guys who have just raw speed, when you're competing even at a local event. And that's a major advantage. Here in Arkansas, when I was really getting into it, we would go down to Texas to kind of chase that same sort of deal. You want to race guys who are top in the national so you can figure out how to up your speed and really up your game. So go where the competition's at. And sounds like for you, that's not very far because you're at an advantage of where the competition is really, really stout. So, I mean, that's definitely an advantage. Well, Sam, who are you away from racing? So you're a major racing enthusiast. I mean, obviously you race cross country, motocross. You're a pro TT guy. But who are you outside of racing?
I'm just a normal dude. I just work a construction job. I'm a welder. We do everything from structural reinforcing to pipe welding to fabrication, hand railing, stairs, you name it. If it's made of metal, we'll stick it together,
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, is
Yeah,
that something that the Imburgia family does, or do you work for a company? Do you kind of strike out on your own? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so my dad and uncle own a construction company.
Okay.
So I think it was the summer going into my 8th grade year. My dad woke me up at 5 a.m. First day of summer. We went straight to Home Depot, and he bought me a tool belt, and that was that was the last day of summer vacations and spring breaks and whatever. If I wasn't at school, I was at work.
I love it. Hey, you got to earn the dollar. Got to learn early,
Gotta
man.
earn it.
Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
man,
I like that.
We work hard and play harder. That's for sure.
I love that motto. I say the same thing. Like, baby, I got work ethic, but I'm about to play really hard. So that's why everyone outside of the ATV racing world just says, or I guess motorsports in general, like, you guys are just crazy. It's like, no, we just love adrenaline. We love going fast.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you just wouldn't understand.
So I'm going to sweat my butt off all day at work, and then I'm going to take my 4-wheeler and I'm going to jump at 120 feet through the air this weekend for fun. So
yeah, for the big paycheck, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for the big old I got a big old $40 one right here.
Yeah, it's good times, man.
I love it.
Well, and that's one thing that is cool about the quad racing world. There is a lot of people that do own and run their own companies, which is kind of nice. I mean, it's nice if you need to peel off a little early to make it to a race. I mean, I'm sure the drive down to Black Ankle is not just, I mean, that takes a little bit of time to get there,
Sure.
But on the other hand, it's like, hey, man, when we're not there, we make $0. we don't get paid vacation. We got to go.
Right.
And so I really respect that. Mitch has got a little side hustle. I do too. And so, man, I just respect the guys. It's like, man, our livelihood is literally doing this job and racing on top of that, dude. It's a lot, man. It's a lot for sure.
Yeah. I've always said that, people that go racing 4-wheelers and do any sort of race in motorsports on the weekends, they're a different breed. It takes a lot. As you guys know, as everybody that'll listen to this knows, it takes a lot of work, man. It's you got to make extra money to go do this thing on the weekend, and you got to keep up on all your stuff, and it's an all day, it's an all week affair just to get loaded up to go racing for the weekend, and if you're doing it every weekend throughout the summer, it's a grind.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Speaking of being a grind, it's expensive, it's hard work, but we love it. What is it that fuels you? What's your passion that just drives you, says, I'm going to continue to sweat. I'm going to continue to spend this money. I'm going to continue to work these long, hard hours just to go do this thing?
I don't know, man. It's just something in me that, I've never been one to, like I was saying earlier, I've never been one to chase points or anything and, chase points or go out and win a championship or whatever. It's just always been a love and a passion for riding 4-wheelers, whether riding 4-wheelers and racing for that matter, I just love getting on the line and just going toe to toe with the best guys there is. And, just putting it all out there. I don't have to, finish well to have a good weekend on racing. You know what I mean? If I can go out on the track and I can, and put it all out there and ride as hard as I can. And once I get off the track and I know, in myself that that was the fastest I could ride. That was the best I could do. I'm happy with it, and that's kind of the mentality that's kept us in it for this long is that, it's not about the finishes and it's not about, winning this and that. It's just about going out there, pushing yourself and having as much fun as you can with it,
Gosh, man, I can appreciate that right there.
For sure, dude.
I mean, I think a lot of people need to hear that, myself included. I need to go back about 20 years in life and just have you say that to me, Sam. I mean, I had some great memories and great times, but at times you kind of miss the fun in it because you're so focused on the goal rather than saying, look at the things that I just did. I was able to what's Super D say? A day at the races is better than any day at work.
Any
right?
day, for
So,
sure.
Any day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Any
we have
weekend.
a blast with this thing. It is freaking awesome, and it's a good time. And to have that mentality out there, like, just go leave it all out there, and whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens. Let the cards land where they
Right.
fall, and appreciate the moment. Like take
Yeah.
in the moment and appreciate your time. Man, what great advice and wise words from you, man. That was good.
There's been seasons that I'm just like, I'm like halfway through the season, and I get home from a tough weekend of racing. I'm changing motors, doing whatever, and all weekend long, and spending all this money to blow everything up and throw it on the trailer and bring it home. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? Like,
What are we
God,
doing, man?
God,
Yeah.
and it really.
This is the dumbest hobby ever.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
It really was it last year. Last year, we're actually training to go to Budds Creek.
Mhm.
We did like three races in a row, and we had a big motocross race up here called High Voltage that was coming up the weekend before Budds Creek, and it's a sand track. And I've either done really well there or really bad. But the track is awesome. It wins New York State Motocross Track of the Year every year. And Dad's like, all right, we're going. I was like, all right, yeah, it's a sweet idea. We're gonna go train for Budds Creek, this and that. But it's a sand track. Budds Creek is gonna be a sand track. Gonna race TT. Then we're gonna go race, motocross in the sand. And man, I took a digger there. I came off the bike pretty hard there and took about a month off. And I was like, you know what? I gotta take a little step back here and, really think about what we're doing this for again, so that was a bit of an eye opener, and it kind of made me rethink everything again and just come back to reality a little bit here that I'm not, we're never going to make $1 million at this. So we got to have as much fun as we can with it while we can.
Yeah.
I love the reset.
Get out in the woods and you don't have to worry about that, Sam.
Sam, don't you listen to Super D. Don't do it. Don't you give in to that, Sam.
I'm kidding.
We still do a couple a year. We still do a couple cross countries a year.
Yeah. I love it, man. But I just, it's one of those things that ATV racing can definitely be very humbling, because you can have just be on a streak, doing well, and then you just show up and one little thing go wrong, whether it's, TT or MX, whatever, and it's just like, oh, yeah, this just got real, and maybe I'm not. Yeah. I mean, it's not a knock on your ability or anything like that. It just keeps you on your toes all the time. Like, you can have off days.
Absolutely.
Like, it's okay, and that's one of the things, I like about it. And I guess we're gluttons for punishment because we keep coming back. I told Mitch we just had a little, our local cross country race was yesterday, and I went to stand up and I'm moaning and whining. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, man, from squatting on the bike, man, my thighs are sore today, but hey, and next month I'll be ready to go for the next one, but just wash the bike, change the oil, and do it all over again.
Do it again. Keep going.
That's right. That's right.
Going.
Sam, I love your mindset on things, man. Share with me kind of your best moment or best memories to this point of being in this racing world.
Oh, man. Well, like I said, we've been doing it a long time. And there's a ton of them. One that sticks out a lot was 2021. Kind of once I got my pro license in TT, we kind of put motocross on the back burner. You know what I mean? We're kind of focused on TT, trying to hit as much flat track as we could and this and that. And so we kind of put motocross on the back burner. In 21, we only hit 3-4 motocross races that year. Yeah. And so we showed up to the New York State Championship race, and that was at High Voltage as well. And I was just on a bike that had my old TT motor in it, a 2005 pile of junk that just ran. It just ran. It was just a motor, and my dad was kind of on the same thing, and my mom and dad were actually sharing a bike, and we just kind of showed up, and I ended up winning the expert New York State Championship, and my dad won plus 40 as well. So we got to,
Heck yeah.
we got to stand up there and hold their plaques up and stuff. It was pretty cool to show up and just kind of clean up house and show everyone, what the Imburgias are about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and
The Imburgia way, we're gonna call it.
right. And how funny is it that sometimes you look around and you roll up to the line, and you're like, man, look at these guys. They got this, whatever suspension, top of the line motor, brand new set of tires, all this other stuff, and it's like,
Yep.
And this is one of the things Dad always told me. He goes, hey man, just because they look good doesn't mean they go fast. And I'm like, well, they have all the right pieces to do that, but a lot of it, Sam, it comes down to, you still got to push the throttle, So,
Right,
man,
right.
that's another good bit of advice for the younger ones out there listening, man. You got to do the work, man. It's not about just shocks help, but they're not the end all be all, and tires, all the things, man. But if you're training, if you're putting in the time, like it's gonna pay off for you.
Man, I will tell you another one though. So it was about. So I went to when was the 50th? 19?
19. Yep.
Yeah. So it was like that spring. My buddy texted me. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to Busco Beach and race flat track?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right, I'll come down." And the only thing I really had to ride at the time was my 500 two-stroke. So I was like, all right, I had a sway bar in the back of the shop. I mounted that thing up. I brought a whole extra motor for it. And I was like, sweet, let's go flat track racing. So that went awesome. Busco Beach was a ton of fun. The track was sweet. Did pretty well there. I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I kind of miss flat track, and it had been almost 10 years since we were on it. Since I raced flat track like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was about 3 weeks before the 50th. I bought my TT bike, and I just slapped a swing arm on, a little shorter swing arm, changed the bars up. It's like, all right, we're going the 50th. Bringing the 500, bringing the 450, and we're going. And like 4 days of racing, I'm not missing this for the world.
Right.
And so I end up. One cool moment there was that Jasmine Plant from Canada was there, and he was riding the Panthera bike there, the 550 power valve fuel injected bike.
Oh yeah.
So I qualified in front of him, like I had a faster qualifier than him. So I'm sitting there on my freaking jalopy of a two-stroke, 500, sitting there in the number one spot. And he's got his sponsors around him, the dudes with the Panthera shirts on and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. I wound up going into like the second corner and flipping it over and breaking my clutch lever off. So I didn't get a chance to beat him. But another one was I think it was College Boy. I wound up getting third. And my parents hadn't come that weekend, so it was just me and a couple friends. And I wound up staying with the Ryckmans, camping with them for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Gary and Garrett were at the podium, and I've never seen those two more proud in my entire life. I've raced with the Ryckmans my whole life. The whole 22 years I've been racing, I've raced with the Ryckmans the whole time.
Right.
And I got a picture of this day, Mr. Gary just cheesing so hard. Just we're up on the podium, holding my third place plaque up. He's like, "This is awesome!" It was funny. It was a good one.
Awesome. That's always fun, man. Hey,
Yeah.
what about Owasso 2023, man? I was kind of digging through some of the archives and stuff, and I was like, hey, man, Carter Buff gets his first win, and you get second place on the podium there in the Pro-Am class, man. That's got to be a high up there on the list, too, I would assume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, that was awesome. Michigan's always been a fun track. I've always done pretty well there. But yeah, that was my season. It's every season's goal for me. It's getting up on the podium, and yeah, that happened, man. I was coming off the track, just beating my chest. I was like, I think it was Pro-Am Unlimited too. So it was 6 races later, and the middle of the night. I'm sure it was midnight by then. I was like, yeah, I did it finally.
Finally paid off, Dad. Yeah,
finally, we got here. it's all worth it now. Let's go home.
Yeah, that's kind of like my go-to line, Sam, is always, "We're really doing it."
Yeah, we did it.
We're really doing it. Sam did it.
That is awesome, dude.
I think it's cool
Yeah,
that
it was fun.
Hey, just before we blow by this this podium experience, I think it's cool that here you are with the Ryckmans, and they're just kind of losing their mind as you're on the podium. I think that's just another picture of the ATV racing community. Like, people just adopt you and just bring you in as you travel with them on the weekend. So they were your parents for the weekend. Like, hey, we've got you, Sam. And so they were ecstatic to see that their adopted kid for the weekend was up on the podium.
Absolutely.
So they were making you feel the love. Love it.
Oh yeah, no, I've Mr. and Mrs. Ryckman have been like my second parents my whole life for 22 years now. Jesse Ryckman has been like a little sister to me, and Garrett's been my brother. It's the best man in his wedding, and we've always known him, always gone racing with them, and it's just as special to have them there, as it is my own parents at times. So it's it is.
You talk about
racing,
like meeting all the people and just the racing community, Sam. One of the things when we were at the track, we're up there in the booth with Eric, and and the door would open and someone would set down grilled pork chops. And it's top secret where we got those things, and he's listening and he knows. And then here in a little bit, someone would bring up like a peach cobbler. And then a little bit later in the day, someone would bring up snow cones. And it's just like, and then you're out walking through the pits, and someone, "Hey, did y'all have breakfast? Come over here and get." And Danny Walton, I walked by one morning, he goes, "Hey, man, are you looking for breakfast?" I said, "No, I already had some." He said, "Oh, well, if you need some, go down to so-and-so's trailer." And it's just, I just love that. And he even talked about Danny. He said, "Man, we got ready to go for the night, and we put the bikes in the trailer and closed up the doors, and I still had like some tires and stuff sitting outside, and someone said, 'Are you going to put those in there?' And Danny goes, 'Well, if someone takes them, they'll come find me tomorrow and pay for them, so I'm okay with it.'" And I'm like, that's just how it is at the track, man. And I love that, dude. It's so cool.
Like, I'll bring it back to what we were talking about earlier. We all work extra hard to get here every weekend, so we all just have that subtle, unspoken respect for one another. You know what I mean? That we're all in the same boat. So and it is, man. Like, it's the TT world's different. I feel like I can walk through the pits and walk into anybody's pits and say hi and start shooting the crap with them. And talk to them for an hour. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique deal, and I mean, I guess to put it lightly, we're both addicted to it. I love everything about it, man.
Yeah, it was funny. I think it was last year this guy walks up to me, and I was up on the line watching somebody. I think I was watching my dad, and then I think Prospect Tire was up shortly after him, and this guy walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, are you Mitch Reynolds?" And I'm like, "No, not."
How dare you insult me like that?
I'm Sam. He's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, no. Why would you say that?" He's like, "Oh, well, you look just like him, and you're always smiling and talking to everybody and this and that." I was like, "Oh, geez, I guess that's a compliment."
The Mitch Reynolds part, and all the other compliments were,
That is awesome.
It was funny.
That's great. Hey,
that was funny. I was like, "No, not him. Sorry, buddy."
Hate to let you down, but I'm a way cooler guy named Sam Imburgia.
Right. If you spend about 5 minutes, you will forget about Mitch Reynolds, and you'll say, "Oh, all right, Sam's the man for sure."
Yeah, this is my dad that races. This is my mom that races. We're way cooler than that guy.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, hey, Sam, we always like to kind of turn the floor over to you, and who do you want to thank? Like, who are your sponsors out there that you want to thank, or what is some advice or things that you want to share with the listeners?
There's a couple people I should probably mention while I'm on here, and talking with you guys. Definitely gotta thank my mom and dad, for getting us this far and continuing to race. Wouldn't be the same without them. I gotta thank. You probably don't know him, but this guy, Aaron Ryzik, he used to race pro back in the day and pro TT. He was a two-stroke guy, big two-stroke guy. He got us into this, man. He was the crack dealer that got us into this whole thing, and now we're 22 years deep into it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Hey, we've got one of those guys in
thank
our
him.
we got one of those guys in our corner too, and his name's Mark Johnson. But yeah, same deal, same crack. They probably buy their crack from the same guy. But yeah, go ahead. Who else, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to thank the Ryckmans. They've been there for me more than more than I could ever thank them for. When I was trying to get my pro license in 2020, they brought me all over the country. They brought me to North Carolina, to Michigan, to Ohio. I mean, just everywhere. I threw my pile of junk four-wheeler in the trailer, and we were racing every weekend. And more often than not, I was probably racing one of theirs. And so I got to thank the whole Ryckman family. I also should probably thank Tom Carlson as well. He, without Tom, we definitely, wouldn't have gone as far in the sport as we do, or as we have. I've known Tom. He's like another grandpa to me. We go hunting on the weekends, and we'll go down and shoot guns, and I'll drop off a motor, then we'll go hike around in the woods for 10 miles. And he's always built us an incredible engine, and we've always been fast, and he's always been really good to us. And I got my sponsors, Penske Custom Access, Fly Racing, Weisco, Hinson. Gotta thank Freddie Suggs. He's been good to me this year. I was a little unsure at first, throughout the winter and stuff like that, but the more I got to know him and meet him and hang out with him, he's just a good dude.
He cooks a mean chicken leg, dude. He hooked me up at Saxton.
Does, man.
Yeah.
He does. I got to thank him. He's a great dude, just doing a good thing. Oh God, I'm sure I got to thank Matt Schaefer and Schaefer Excavating. He sponsored me a set of graphics and powder coat, and helps us out tremendously. They're a great family. Who else? I don't know. I know I'm gonna forget somebody, but I don't know. That's all. That's all I got to thank at the moment.
Hey, that's a good list. You've got a great group of people around you, Sam, for sure.
Yeah, they do help me out. I should probably thank Kevin Crawford as well. He'd be mad if I didn't mention him in here.
Hey, so wait, what do you have to say about Kevin?
Kevin Crawford? Yeah. He's one of my best friends, man. He's a great dude. He's always on the line with me. He's always, when I'm out there racing, I look for him on the sideline to tell me when to take the joker.
Okay, he's our joker man. Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's a joker man, and he's my number one support. Whenever we go to like Midwest races and stuff like that, he'd run up to me, he'd ride up with me on the line and this and that, and he's got a good pointer finger. You know what I mean? He's got one of those fingers that you just gives you the hook, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which point at, they come over. It's funny.
Oh, that's great.
It's funny.
Good stuff. Well, Sam, man, we really appreciate you taking your time to join us, man. It's been a great time. I think you've given some great words of advice for all racers, for sure. And man, what a ride! 22 years racing at it, and your whole family doing it, man. It's too cool, Sam. So we do really
awesome.
appreciate your time, man.
No, I appreciate you guys. It's an honor to talk with you guys, and I've always just been a dude that likes to ride a four-wheeler. So to be able to get on a podcast and talk about four-wheeler racing is something else, man. It's out of this world. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for jumping on with us. And, hey, we'll see you at the next race. And so, hey, y'all stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Hey, we're joined by Eric Johnson. He's a critical piece in the MotoChurch that's been happening at all the ATVMX Nationals. It's been huge this year. I put a post out earlier this year, and Eric was the first guy to really reach out to me and say, man, I want on board. Me and my wife, we want church at the races. So we've been going through all these ideas in our mind of how to have church at the races. So, Eric, welcome in, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
So Eric, kind of lead us up to what kind of led to you reaching out and really what was your motivation behind being part of MotoChurch?
Well, so, you know, as well as I do, when you travel, you race the nationals, you're in a different state, nearly every weekend or every other weekend. So when you're gone all the time, it's hard to be, present in your local church. So, we served at our local church, but then when we started traveling with the racing and training and different things, that became absent. So, at that point, we had started, racking our brain, how can we, do we do a moto church, or how can we bring Jesus back to the church, and how can we still be servants of God? So it's kind of, we were just going through ideas, trying to figure out how to, incorporate, church at the Nationals. And I mean, it kind of led to this, it started with your Facebook post.
And then you step in, Jason and Dwayne as well. Y'all really just took the bull by the horns and turned this thing into just something amazing. But really, I think all of this just comes down to fulfilling the Great Commission. It's like, Jesus instructed us to go therefore and make disciples of all nations. So it's like we've got to go out to the people, meet them where they're at. We know we love Jesus, right? And we want to bring Jesus to the races. And we've got all this audience that's doing the same thing. They're traveling on the weekend, so they're not, whether they were involved in church or weren't involved in church, they don't have the opportunity to be. But you bring MotoChurch, and then that gives people the opportunity to connect with brothers and sisters in Christ and really grow that, grow in their spiritual walk, or being able to serve, or it's an unbeliever, a person who hasn't chosen to follow Christ. Then they get the opportunity there at the races to attend a service, which happens every Friday night. You do a track walk and prayer, and then have the MotoChurch service after that. I know the track walk deal is kind of an abbreviated thing, and you might just have to go into that for me. But this is an opportunity for the gospel to be shared with people. So, one, people get shared the gospel and have opportunity to respond to Jesus. But two, also, you're encouraging brothers and sisters in Christ to kind of continue their walk as you do this thing.
And that's absolutely it. Dwayne Chappell and Jason Plutwick, they've been awesome, from the get. Whenever we started communicating about it, was trying to organize it, we didn't know exactly what to even expect from day one. But we kind of came up with a game plan, and we're thinking, hey, at the track, when is everybody done? When would everybody free up to have time? Obviously, Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings are super hectic. Saturdays are super hectic because you got the pros racing. Everybody's wore out. You're fixing bikes, different things. Same thing with Sundays. So then it came down to, hey, let's do Friday evenings. Well, a big thing with, on Friday evenings is, doing the track walk. We got Brandon Hogue has stepped up. He's done every single one with us. Joe Hetrick has even done a few with us. And it's really great for the kids. Even the adult racers go out. They kind of learn some tips and tricks of how the pros will tackle the track. And then, we also get to pray over the racers, pray over the track, pray over, all your track workers, your EMS personnel, the families traveling to and from. You get an opportunity to pray over them. And, that's just, that feels really good. And I think that the racers that attend that really enjoy that as well.
It seems like it's a great hit, but what I know for sure is that God has a perfect timing and a perfect plan in all things. He was conditioning me for this whole situation. He was conditioning you. He was conditioning Dwayne. He was conditioning Jason. It was all just kind of perfect timing. I had a pastor friend telling me, he said, hey, I feel that, don't you feel the nudge that you need to be doing more, right? You need to be doing more in the racing community. And I said, I don't know what that looks like. And then all of a sudden people start messaging me that person has no connection with. And they're like, hey, what races are you going to be at? Like, we want to have church at the races that you're at. Matter of fact, if we could have church at all the races, that would be awesome. And so then that leads to 3 guys who I've never met before. I just felt led, like, okay, from that, God, that's I'm getting your message. I'm getting your message. You've used 4 people who don't even communicate with one another to communicate with me. So what do I need to do? So I just, that's when I put the post out, and then here you come. And it's just awesome to kind of see all these things unfold, how God, he works in mysterious ways. Like, there's no way I could have put this stuff together. Eric, there's no way you could have put all this together. There's no way Dwayne could have. There's no way Jason could have. But as the network of pieces and conditioning us all at this right exact time and perfect timing, he brings it together. And from that, man, y'all have had a lot of people attending MotoChurch, and it's awesome. You've even had your first baptism. Chelsea Jackson was baptized earlier this year. I got to witness that via video. I wasn't there, obviously. But, man, how cool. And then what we have coming up here at Loretta's, we've got what? You guys have like 10 people lined up to get baptized? I mean, is that not insane?
Yeah, I almost quit counting just because we've had so many people sign up, and even here towards the end. It's wild because you put that post out. None of us knew each other.
That's
at
right.
all.
Right.
That's awesome.
So the first time that we had ever seen each other in person was when we arrived at Texas. And I mean, we talked about it on the phone. The plan came together, and the amount of people that showed up for the first one blew all of us away. And we're like, fellas, I think this is real. Like, it's happening. So now it's like, how do we execute it each round? And just make it work,
right.
correctly. And iron sharpens iron, and I'll tell you this, it's one of those things where we all play our own role, and I kind of handle a majority of the organization of it, the planning for each round. And then, outside of that, I'm not a talker in front of people. To be honest, I can't believe I'm doing the podcast with you. The couple times that I've spoken in front of everybody at the MotoChurch, I've cried. I'm a crier. I'm actually, yeah. So just so you know, I'm going to hydrate all week this week, and not for the race on Saturday, Sunday. I'm actually going to hydrate for the crying on Friday evening. So during the baptisms, but no. So Dwayne had been doing his own on his own platform. He'd already been doing a little devotional and what I would call small service on his own Facebook. And
yep.
I truly feel like this was his calling. This is what he's supposed to be doing. And man, from the first time, you would think that he had been speaking in front of people his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I feel like that is what drew a lot of the people to come back the next time. They told somebody else, and it continued to grow. And each round, the attendance has grew each round.
Wow.
It blows me away. Matter of fact, I bawled like a baby. I was squealing like a little girl, crying so hard, just for the amount of people that showed up at Briarcliff, and and how many people had shown up for or signed up for baptisms. The crazy thing is we never thought a word or had any thought whatsoever about a baptism. And then Chelsea Jackson asked Dwayne about doing it. And so he's like, hey guys, what do you think? We're like, yes, let's do it. Well, then, we done it at the track. It was awesome. Just a beautiful sight to see. And then, it was like, hey, why don't we do it in the creek at Loretta's? That would be iconic.
Absolutely.
And so then it was like the list kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I hate to name any names, but just because that is their time, I'm going to let them, do that on their own will. But it is so awesome to watch God work on all these people and work through us, work on them, work on us.
Right.
Absolutely.
The crazy thing is these people are showing up and they're talking about they needed this. No, I needed this. It was for all of us, but I'm going to be selfish here. I'm going to tell you, I needed it. It feels so good to watch God work inside the ATV community. And it just, we feel at home.
Oh,
And we're in different states.
yeah.
And we feel at home with our neighbors,
Yeah.
and it's like, at the track, you feel like a big family. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like the connection between these teams and these other racers and everything has gotten even tighter since it started. From round one. Like I said, it's so awesome to see. And even Jason Klutwick, the man, he prays really well in front of people. And it's so funny, you hear people. I always told them, I said, I don't really know how to pray. Like, I just talk to God like I'm talking to a friend, and they're like, well, that's all you're supposed to do. Well, then Jason gets up there and he talks it and it's all uniform. And I'm like, Jason, that's what I'm talking about. I can't do that. So I said, you just made me look back. He said, no, I didn't. That's just how I pray, And he goes, everybody prays different, and that's the awesome part. Everybody gets to worship in their own way. Their relationship with God is their own, and like I said, I'm blown away. It's so awesome to see.
Eric, I'm just over here, just in amazement, kind of getting chills listening to it, because I feel the exact same way, man. You're just like, I'm not able. I don't have the capacity to do this, but guess what? God uses people that are faithful. He's faithful to us, and the reason all this is together is because of faithfulness. The faithfulness of you, the faithfulness of Jason, the faithfulness of Dwayne, each one of you guys, and then the faithfulness of people to attend, obviously. Like, God's the one working and all that. Like, this is nothing we could have put together. We just simply, God used messengers and placed things in our heart at the right time to prepare us. And faithfulness really is what holds the whole thing together. But it's amazing. And you're like, I don't ever want to stop this ride. Like, God, I'm just going to keep saying yes. That's what we want to do. We want to just keep saying yes to you. And because we want to be part of this big movement that you're doing, obviously, in the ATV racing world. Like, God, you are moving, you're doing things, and we want to give you honor and glory. And we want to be there to experience it, because, man, that is real life-giving right there.
Yeah. And I think, a big thing is when at Briarcliff, I told him, I said, listen, all this is possible because of you guys showing up and, continuing to come. And it just shows that God is working, within us and on us, it's, I'm at a loss for words of, how to even explain, what it's grown into be. But I will tell you, I think we're wanting to make it more than just, the 9-10 rounds that, of the nationals, that we do it. We're talking about maybe trying to come up with, a YouTube channel, do one a month. Between the last and first round of the national, and then we're talking about at the banquet at the end of November, seeing if they'll let us do a little service before the banquet begins.
Phenomenal.
Like I said, I think it's just it's. God is active, and He is present within it, and it's like I said, it's just awesome to see, and I'm just at all to even be able to be a small part of the large picture that we have here. So,
ooh, isn't it great, man? Isn't it great, Eric? I love it, man. I love it. Hey, the first time I talked to Dwayne, you talk about this being his calling. Him and I were talking on the phone, and we're just sharing kind of our testimonies and what our faith journeys have been like and all this stuff. And as I'm talking to him, he says to me, He says, Mitch, I do these videos behind the camera. That's fine. He's like, but I have this great fear of talking in front of people. I think everyone does. Like second to dying, I think talking in front of people is one of the biggest fears ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Dwayne, I mean, I am too. But I said, I can just tell with the passion in your voice, and the way you're going about all the things he was saying to me. Again, never met the man in my life. I'd watched some of his videos on Facebook, but I was like, man, like, I think you just got to do it. Like, God doesn't need your ability. He just needs your availability. And I think he's calling you into this position. So just amazing to kind of see all this and just be along for the ride. Like, we don't know what all God has in store, but I mean, we're in for it, Eric. Whatever you guys need that Daniel and I can help with, like, we're here. We're here for you, whatever. I mean, we're going to be at Loretta's. We're going to help you guys with that stuff. And we are, man, we're looking forward to the baptisms and MotoChurch. Like, it's going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. And if you're at Loretta's, you're not going to want to miss that.
Oh, absolutely not. It's going to, you'll see God move for sure. And it's, Dwayne, to say that he, didn't know how he would, be talking in front of people, I'll go ahead and tell you, he looked like a natural.
Yeah.
The man is well spoken, and he looked like he'd been there before. So can't take nothing from him. But speaking of Loretta's, so JB, Debbie, they do the 88 Live to Ride.
Correct.
And so I know, Mitch, you had spoken with her, and she usually starts the silent auction at 6 p.m. on Friday evenings.
Yep.
And she was going to push it back to 6:30 to allow us a little more time. So typically we do the track walk at 6 p.m. and then we do the service at 7 p.m. So this round at Loretta's, we're going to modify that a little bit. Okay. The Loretta's track not having a ton of elevation change. I'm going to kind of leave it up to Brandon Hogue, where he wants to do his, his track walk / track talk.
Yep.
I don't think we'll have to do as much walking on that track to be able to discuss the track. So we're going to do that. We're going to meet at 5 o'clock, probably at the starting gate.
Okay.
We're meeting at the starting gate at 5 p.m. on Friday. At 5:30, we're going to meet over. We got a location set up. You'll see the Monster Energy roundabout right there next to the staging, and Dwayne's rig is actually right there on the creek. We're going to have our tent set up, and I'm going to draw a map and I'll post it on the national group as well.
Okay.
Of where it's going to be set up at, but we're going to meet over there at 5:30.
Yep.
So that will give us roughly 45 minutes to an hour to do our short service and prayer, and then and move right into the baptisms. Like I said, we have a lot of baptisms, and it's going to be so awesome to just see people, express their their faithfulness and their relationship with God, publicly, and it's going to be an incredible, you don't want to miss it.
Outward sign of an inward change.
Outward sign of an inward change. That is correct. Man,
it is going
to be absolutely phenomenal. Me and my wife and kids are going to be there. Daniel and his dad are going to come as well. And my mom and dad will be there as well. My mom's actually got to go up to Kentucky first. Good friend, her best friend, actually, her husband passed away. So we're going to kind of be back and forth with his funeral services and stuff, but we are going to be there for all the things Friday night, including the track walk, the baptism, MotoChurch. We're very, very excited. And, I'll tell you, Eric, this is something that a big group of my friends, as well as my Sunday school class, has been praying for well over a year now. Probably, ever since I went back racing, so that was back in 2019, that they've been praying for this movement in the ATV community. And it's amazing to see answered prayer, when people have prayed specific things and then God moves and does things and we get to witness it, man. It is strengthening of faith. It's encouraging. It's amazing. And the feeling is really indescribable. So say yes to Jesus and say yes every time that God calls you to do something. Pretty much the moral of the story here, right?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, Mitch, I mean, when you posted that, I thought, man, I don't know this cat. I don't know what he's talking about, but whatever it is, I think I'm in.
It's probably a good thing you didn't know me. Is the thing.
No. Listen, it's had you known me, you'd probably never answered you probably would never responded back. You're like, dude, I ain't messing this guy back. But no, listen, it's just awesome. The way it all came together, and I can't wait. I can't wait for Friday evening. Can't wait to meet you guys in person. Like
Absolutely.
I said, it's wild that a bunch of guys that don't know each other has just I don't know being called to throw it out there.
That's right. Just being faithful.
That's it. So again, I think we're all still learning along the way, and
yep,
that's it's just. I don't know. I'm a lack of terms. Well, I'm not a talker. That's why I leave that up to Dwayne. But it's just truly amazing, man. And Mitch, I can't thank you enough for having me on. And Daniel, your all's podcast, your platform, man, is phenomenal. Your services, the things you guys are doing, and I know you guys do it on the TT side, man. It's awesome to see God work.
Absolutely is.
Hey, man, as long as everybody just does their part, man, God will take care of the rest, and it'll all work out just fine. So that's what we're just kind of doing our thing in our lane, and, man, it's just cool to see where the road's taking us, man. It's fun to be a part of, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. Man, we just executed.
That's right. All right, Eric. Well, we look forward to seeing you just in a few days, man. We will see you hopefully about midday on Friday, man.
Yeah, man, sounds good. I can't wait to see you guys Friday. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it, Eric.
All right, man. That's Eric Johnson. Y'all just stay with us. We'll be right back. Man, Mitch, this has been a super fun episode visiting with Jess Ryckman, Sam Imburgia, Eric Johnson. We got Loretta's coming up this weekend. This will be my second professional motocross race ever. So
jumps aren't as big here. They're not. Track's a lot more flat.
Still crazy.
But it's still some jumps. Yeah.
Still crazy. So I'm excited, man. But, dude, this has been a good one.
Gosh, it has. Like, what good advice from Jess. Mm-hmm. Great advice from Sam. Great insights. And then just to see Eric just kind of poured his heart out, man. Like, right. I was over here just that's God right there, man.
Yeah.
That's God. That is truly being faithful, and then God putting it all together. Amazing. Yeah. So really looking forward to Friday night. It's going to be a great time.
Well, the next episode is going to be a hot one. I'm looking forward to that too, after we finish up all the hot topics that happened from Loretta's and getting to share about everything that went on there, man. It's gonna be a good one. Well, hey, how about you close this one out, man? Let's go.
Let's do it. Father God, we thank you again for just your grace and your mercy and love for us. We thank you that you have a divine plan in all things, that you just time everything perfect, God. And I pray you just continue to work in us, God. I pray for MotoChurch and for those stepping forward to be baptized, God, as they've began their journey with you, God, that they would just remain faithful to you, God, and just let you do the work. Thank you for this podcast and everything you allow us to do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, hey, that's the end of the Doug Gust episode 55. So y'all stick around, and we'll catch you in the next one.
55.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.